Good morning. Calling to order the General Government Appropriations Subcommittee. Committee following along real briefly. Section 11, State Accounting Office. Section 21, Department of Driver Services. Section 27, Office of Governor. Section 29, Office of Commissioner Insurance. Section 32, Department of Labor. Section 36, State Properties Commission. Section 42, Department of Revenue. And Section 49, State Board of Workers' Compensation, no changes. Department Audits and Accounts, Section 4, page 1. All changes are for the agency related to the entering the same statewide changes you see in every other agency, necessary due to Department of Audits being a legislative branch agency. Section 12, page 5. 12.2.1 and 12.2.2, we add language for two compensation resolutions passed out of the House this session, H.R. 901 and H.R. 902, and additionally $176,445 for one compensation resolution passed in 2009. 12.6.3, we provided $1 million for supplemental illness-specific insurance for first responders diagnosed with occupational PTSD. Section 12.12, page 6, Georgia Technology Authority, 12.12.1, we made an adjustment of $2.5 million to funds provided for cybersecurity services, which will still keep the total funds at $21.5 million. Section 14, page 7, Department of Banking and Finance. 14.3.1, we made a small adjustment to funds for the division's COLA to account for some of the employees left out during the initial calculation. DNR, section 34, pages 17 through 19, 34.7.6, page 18. We annualize the pay increases for part-time staff we provided in the AFY 24 budget. 34.9.11, 34.9.12, page 19. There's some concerns raised about using the Wildlife Endowment Trust Fund to pay for some personal services expenses, so we removed these amounts from items 34.9.9 and 34.9.10 and are using state general funds for those items. 34.9.13, we're providing $500,000 for a deer food bank to help process venison donations. Section 43, page 24, Secretary of State's Office. 43.2.6, we were providing $2.5 million for third-party ballot text auditing technology that will allow the Secretary of State's Office to audit any race in the state without the use of QR codes. Page 25, 43.5.6, we have added $2.1 million to address licensure backlogs and complaints we have all received about the professional licensing boards. We've worked with other members of the House and Secretary of State's Office to craft a plan that includes that money for 27 new employees, temporary employees, to continue addressing the current backlog and related overhead expenses. Page 31, 43.7, Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Commission. 43.7.6, we recommended some funds for hearings for the Office of the State Administrative Hearings in anticipation of the next licensing cycle. Any questions from the committee? Representative Mitchell.
First of all, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you personally. I know how hard you worked on this budget. You've served very well. And as a member of the committee, I do want to let you know how much I appreciate it. My question centers around a pass-through that I understand has come through natural resources, an appropriation of almost $10 million to memorialize the Confederacy. What I would like to know is whether the appropriation for just $50,000 was approved for a grant request that would help that surrounding community.
Well, respectfully, I'll disagree with your commentary. If anyone would look to section 50, specifically 50.1.84, 50.185, and 50.186, there are three items that are funded for, I believe, what you're referring to in Stone Mountain. One would be for the museum and retail and food service spaces. It was built in 1960. It's out of code, and we're bringing that up to date, the roof, interior finishes, etc. The second one is a two-story, 11,000 square foot visitor center. We're replacing flooring and storefront, mechanical, electrical, plumbing updates as well. And then on 50.186, we're renovating a house that was for educational staff and classrooms that was built in the 1960s, last renovated in 2004.
Yeah, perhaps the chairman doesn't recognize or know, as I am, as I can walk to Stone Mountain Park, that the whole motif centers around memorializing the Confederacy. If I may add to the chairman and for information for those who believe as you do, 1956, Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court outlawed segregation in this country on buses. The Billy Mitchells of the day, the Georgia legislature, did two things. Number one, they put the Confederate stars and bars on our state flag, and they did something else. The longest street in Georgia left the doors of the state capitol and went all the way to the gates of Stone Mountain, which at that time was not only a meeting place of the Ku Klux Klan, but was a memorial to the Confederacy as it is today. They renamed that street, Fair Street, Memorial Drive, which it remains to this day. I'm merely suggesting that if we're going to spend, our children's children are going to be paying $10 million, that's a substantial amount of money. The surrounding community has put in a grant request for $50,000. I'm just merely suggesting that in the name of equity, that the grant request be honored.
Representative Mitchell, thank you so much for your commentary. Appreciate the request. We will certainly look into that. I don't think the museum, the two-story visitor center, or other items in this have anything to do with how long that street is, but I appreciate you very much.
And I will add that if you call the CEO of Stone Mountain Park right to this day, if you will put him on the phone, he would say he'd be willing to give up $50,000 to not this become an issue, as I have a caucus meeting at 8 o'clock to go over this request. He himself would say, give up $50,000 of one of these line items.
Understood. Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? What's the pleasure of the committee?
Motion to pass.
Hear a motion. Do I hear a second? Hear a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say like sign. I'm sorry. Understood. We have one abstention. Measure passes. Meeting adjourned.